Hello everyone. For my descriptive speech with digital media assignment, I picked Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram as forums to get my discussions and deliberations going. First of all, I picked these three forums because ultimately they all three have a lot of users, which meant more possible feedback I could receive on my post. More specifically though, I picked Facebook because it was a group composed of students in this class. I think it was important to see how people in the class were posing their questions and what their feedback was like based on these questions. Additionally, what kinds of questions were they asking was something that I really thought would be interesting since we have all been learning about communication in digital environments together throughout the entire semester. I picked Reddit because I knew there was a large following. However, I was ultimately shocked at how many individuals responded to me and took the time and effort to make a comment on my post. And lastly, I picked Instagram because my topic was about dogs, and luckily for me, I happen to have an Instagram page for my free dogs. Originally, I had planned to post on my personal Instagram account, but because my dog's account has a following that consists of all dog lovers and owners, I thought it would allow for better feedback and much more response. Typically, people reply to things that they are interested in or can relate to. Therefore, using the dog's Instagram seemed like the perfect platform to use to my advantage. For my post, I posed the question of rescue or purebred. I asked several questions about why people would choose purebreds or why they would choose rescues, as well as which group is more popular and if an increase of popularity of purebreds did that affect the euthanasia rates of shelter dogs. I posted relatively the exact same post on all three forums. However, I posted a poll in addition to my written post on both Facebook and Instagram. I think that was a neat way to see responses in a numerical way. Also, I knew that if some individuals were not willing to fully comment on my post, I could at least get their opinion by them answering the poll. On Facebook, I received 2 comments on my post and 8 participants in my poll. On Instagram, I received 6 comments on my post and 14 participants in my poll. On Reddit, I actually posted 2 separate posts. However, the posts were similar, but with slightly different wording. I definitely learned the most from posting on Reddit, which I was pleasantly surprised by. My first post, quite a few people were not fans of the way I worded several things in my post. Despite that, I received 6 comments on my first post. I think that besides the way I worded some points, people ultimately were very sensitive about the overall topic. After receiving a comment stating that my results of rescues versus purebreds could be biased due to the fact that I had posted in the rescue dog category of Reddit, I really took that into consideration and immediately changed a few words within my post and also posted within the dog category. I also specified that all opinions were acceptable, whether they were pro-rescue or pro-purebred. On my second post, I received 5 comments. Overall, the responses on Reddit were super intense. I think that people were really offended by my verbiage of some simple things. People thought I lacked research and took it very seriously in even posing the question. Most people did not like the rescue versus purebred debate at all, and that it wasn't inclusive and was oversimplifying the issue, or that they simply just hated it in general. Overall, despite the massive amount of negativity and hate I received on the Reddit post, I think it was very helpful, and I actually learned a lot from it, which I was not expecting at all. I got a lot of general feedback, and some people wrote a lot of stuff back to me, adding up to almost a page. Although it may not have been positive, and a lot of people had issues with the debate and the way I posed the question, I think that it was important. I learned that when starting an online discussion, it is important to make sure the verbiage is super concise and that there is very little possibility for misunderstanding. I also think that it would be important to take into consideration all categories instead of, for example, classifying it into just 2 categories, rescue or purebred. I would need to further elaborate what exactly I meant by rescue and purebred, and to make sure I was being inclusive by including purebreds who may have been the runt of the litter, for example, that the breeder surrendered to the shelter. A lot of the dialogue that was progressed was individuals agreeing with those who had already commented and then building on it. I think that it was very successful deliberation and that a lot of topics really require much more research before discussing them. It really made me think a lot about the comments that were left under my post. I do not think anyone had bad points who posted, and I think that it was really neat to see how much conversation was started over a single debate. It really piqued my interest in the fact that there are so many online conversations going on that we simply just don't know about, which is super awesome. I would say that in terms of Instagram, I was definitely heard, and the comments were put a lot nicer, say, than the comments on the Reddit posts. I think that the Reddit responses were the most unbiased due to the fact that the people commenting have no idea who I am, so they are far more comfortable expressing exactly how they feel, even if it is not said in the nicest way possible. Whereas Facebook, I think some of my classmates who would have felt a little more uncomfortable saying things in a harsh way. Same with my Instagram. A lot of my dog's followers are people that I know, so the verbiage used towards me was definitely a lot nicer. Additionally, I think that if anything, I really heard what others said rather than them hearing what I said, which is really awesome in my opinion. In terms of Instagram, I think that some people can get lazy and not fully want to get engaged in a conversation or discussion. However, there were some people who commented that put effort towards it. Most everyone on my Reddit post put a lot of effort into their responses, and I think that in regards to getting deliberation really just comes down to people wanting to put effort into commenting something, and with that being said, they need to really be passionate or interested in the subject so that really powerful deliberation can occur. It really came down to people caring and taking the time to comment that made the encouragement of useful online deliberation. But I think that people really discourage the lack of full in-depth explanations and correct use of verbiage in order for it to be a useful online deliberation, which is something that I wasn't even aware of before. People encourage doing a lot more research and to avoid oversimplifying before deliberating, and I think that is really great advice for the future. I think that oversimplifying in itself could actually kill useful deliberation, especially when it is done online. Before this project, I actually had never used Reddit before. I have read a few forums that I was taken to the site by Google searching something, but I never went onto the site or app on myself and actually saw a discussion unravel. I actually had to create a Reddit account for this assignment because I didn't have one and had never engaged in even posting anything on the site before. I think that Reddit will actually become my new go-to if I have any questions or if I simply want to get involved in someone else's post. It is really quite underrated, I think. If anyone is wanting to ask a question, have a question answered, get opinions on certain topics, read about different experiences that people have had at certain places, Reddit is truly the place to go. Overall, when deliberating online, it is important to be clear and concise. I think that I truly learned so much, especially from my Reddit post. I think that I really underestimated the true power of online deliberation. After doing this assignment, I think it is super important to engage in conversations online all the time, and I'm actually really inspired now to take a bigger part in doing so myself because the results were so interesting, and it really makes you take things into perspective and think about different topics in other people's eyes, which is really important, especially in this day and age, and online. If we have the capability to have these awesome online deliberations at our very fingertips, why wouldn't we take full advantage of that? It seems like such a waste. Thank you so much.